I'm so excited to just take up this challenge today. I just had to do it before I left the office. Brendan Burchard about you, just say it. Now, I'm kind of giving myself some little cues a little bit because I just wrote some on my sticky notes. I'm right here in my office. Why not? But when you think about it, I do this every day for a living. I teach, I train. Why am I not doing that to help others in terms of what I really love to do, which is share and help them move forward in their lives and feel better? So that's giving me something to think about, Brendan. Here we go. So let's see how it goes. And I'm just going to go ahead and start with the 5 things, the 5 points or things that I love to share with the world and hope that it helps someone, even if it's just that one. Well, here I am, Helena Johnson, and I want to talk about 5 points of power in terms of being diagnosed with lupus. And I'm hoping that these things just pop for someone. We don't want everyone to be diagnosed or be confronted with an illness, but it happens. And these are 5 things I really wish I would have known when I was diagnosed with lupus going on 23 years ago. Lupus is in my family. It's an autoimmune disease that is very complex. It's when the body attacks itself, and no two lupus patients are alike. And there's not a lot of material. When folks get diagnosed still today, they don't walk out of the doctor's office with a pamphlet in their hand. You gotta know someone or be introduced to it, and it's still gaining some notoriety. So here are my 5 points of power, things that I wish would pop, 5 things that I'd love to emphasize for someone that's newly diagnosed with lupus. How can they successfully coordinate their care after being diagnosed with lupus? I wish I would have known these things in terms of being diagnosed. And the first thing is accepting it. Just go ahead and accept. Acknowledge it. It's been acknowledged. You've been told what it is, and now you're all in. Now's the time to say, okay, this is what this is. It's been identified. This is what I have. I'm going to accept it. I'm going to acknowledge that. And a way you can do that is even through communication. Communicate with your doctors. You now may have to go to multiple doctors. Communicate with the doctor you're with now. Let them know what's going on. Communicate with your family. It's okay. Let folks around you know that you've been diagnosed with something that's different. And it's different for you. And it's new to you. So when you're communicating, that helps. Because communication shows that you care. Communication shows that I may need some help. Because those folks around me and my loved ones are indirectly affected. Even though I've been the one that's diagnosed, we're all now diagnosed. So we need to communicate with the other doctors. We forget that sometimes we may have to go to the eye doctor, and we need to let them know that, hey, can you send that information to my family doctor so that they know what's going on and they can make sure they're looking at what can be the best care for you in terms of lupus being diagnosed. And attention. I wish I would have paid more attention to what was going on with me. Because the lupus is so complex, it's so different, and it compounds with different symptoms. If I pay attention to the symptoms you're having. Pay attention to where you are while you're having those symptoms. Pay attention to what's going on while you're experiencing these symptoms. Write it down. Pay attention. That's so important when you're diagnosed with lupus. And I wish I would have thought more about that, but I had to learn to journal and write things down and note that this was happening, that was happening, or I ate this and this happened. Because, your body's going to change and your lifestyle is going to change. So I need to pay more attention now to myself and my health, and be reasonable. This is new. Folks are going to come at you and say, oh, what is that? Da, 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 da. Oh, you should do this. You should do this. Be reasonable. Make sure you fact check. Okay? Check all of your facts. It's okay to get on Google and look it up, but don't get yourself scared. Be reasonable about the things that you're trying. Be reasonable about the new things that are going to happen in your life. I went home and I was just sad and depressed, like, oh my God. Da, da, da. But you know what? There are some things you can do. Do what you can and not what you can't. Be reasonable about what my next steps are going to be now that something's new been introduced in my life that affects my overall health. And that's when you want to make sure you're exploring. Be open-minded to explore different treatments, different options. And yes, it may take some medications that are going to help. Now, some people aren't even on medication when it comes to lupus, but it's going to be different for everyone, and it may be different for you. So you want to explore the economical reasons. Some folks can't work because it does it turns to a very deep disability that they can't work. I'm blessed that I'm here. I can work. And that's so wonderful for me. And because I know now, after years of experimenting, we're in trial and error, that, you know, and I'm still here, which is such a blessing, that, you know, there's options out there, or what economically will work for me. I want to try to maintain the same lifestyle I have. So maybe there's some things I need to do that's going to help me maintain that, because finances come to play when you've been diagnosed with an illness that's so questionable and that changes from day to day, if at all. So I think that's very important, that when you are first diagnosed with lupus, what is going to help me take that next step? And these are my 5 points of power as it relates to just making sure you're coordinating your care successfully, because we don't get those pamphlets and the booklets that will just come to us. We don't see the information so readily available in those shelves. You have to know, and you have to learn about lupus and what it is. And I'm hoping that these things right here will pop in someone's head, or share this with someone else, so that they know that lupus is real, and lupus is something that's so very dear to that individual person. And you know, I care, so you should care, and make sure you care enough to take care of yourself. You know, just accept it, communicate, pay attention, be reasonable about the things that are going on, and don't be hesitant to explore and keep track of the things that are going on in your life. So there you go. When it comes to being diagnosed with lupus, you can live successfully. You really can. Thanks for listening to me. And until next time.